Hello, folks, and welcome back to another edition of the Daily Crypto Byte. Today is Friday, September 17th. Hope you all had a great week, and there's a lot of uncertainty heading into the markets this weekend, so we'll dive into that, take a look at some charts, give you guys some dojos of the day, all the usual stuff. But it's Friday. Very excited to head into the weekend. Before we get started, CJ, Doc, how are you guys doing today?
I'm doing well. Doc, how's
hey guys? I'm back. I've been struggling with my camera here, guys. But eventually we'll get it fixed. I just jumped off of another Zoom call onto this one, and StreamYard and Zoom and Teams and all the others don't like each other. They don't play well together. That's what I'm learning anyway. But so I missed what you just said at the top of the show because it was just letting me in.
Yeah, no, we were just introducing, a little bit what we're going to get into today, but a little bit of neutral price action in terms of Bitcoin coming down a little bit off the 40K level or the 48K level. But we're going to go into a lot of on-chain metrics and technicals as well. But Monty, anything you'd like to share before we get into it?
No, I think you're right, CJ. We got to really take a look at the on-chain metrics here heading into this weekend because the technicals aren't giving us much right now. And I think really what's driving the market is going to be those on-chain factors like looking at the supply of Bitcoin on exchanges or the supply of Bitcoin held by long-term holders. I think that's going to be critical going forward. So excited to dive into those metrics today.
Yeah, we have also seen an uptick in like the highly liquid ratio, showing the movement of coins from highly liquid entities to liquid entities or shorter term investors. So I think that's that'll be really interesting, and I'll shed some context on that right now.
What do you guys, by the way, just to throw it out there because it's so bizarre, but what do you guys think of the Facebook wallet?
Yeah, I'm not surprised that, they're going in this direction. I think that, this is reminiscent of the whole Libra coin thing. And with Facebook, we talked about this with Twitter as well when they were talking about making a crypto wallet, right? I think you need to be cautious of what is in it for them for making a wallet. Facebook is as much a data conglomerate company as they are a social media company. And having those sort of insights into what people are purchasing just strengthens their value as a data conglomerate to advertisers significantly. So I think that given the crypto ethos of like decentralization, I don't think too many crypto enthusiasts will be quick to use a Facebook wallet, but I think that it's not too surprising that they're headed in that direction.
Yeah, and it's all about gathering millions, not just tens of thousands of people to adopt your wallet. And ultimately, when you've got, as many billions of people that use Facebook, it's not a surprise to see that since they've had to go slow on the currency, I think it's logical that they are trying to go fast now on the wallet. They're late, but we all know also that Microsoft is famously always late. They're never the leader. They're never the first. But Microsoft very quickly adapts. And I think Facebook will probably put something kind of neat out there as far as this Novi wallet. Libra, whenever that gets out there, we'll have to see. But, as far as a data treasure trove, we all talk about, and I interrupted CJ as he was about to talk about, on-chain or open wallets and all that kind of stuff versus stuff that it's taken off and put into cold storage. And to the extent that Facebook could have millions and perhaps even more, hundreds of millions of people using a wallet, that's something that would give them a leg up as far as data. But we'll see if people had, we'll see exactly. I mean, this is a still pending stable coin that they're talking about that it's going to be built on. So we'll have to see. As most of the listeners know, some wallets are only for Ethereum-based projects, which, this particular stable coin that they're basing it on, Diem, Carpe Diem, is going to be something that, nobody knows enough about yet. I'm sure there are engineers out there playing with it, guys, but, you and the three of us certainly don't know all that much about what a stable coin like Diem would be like. And people are somewhat suspicious of some of these stable coins as well. So anyway, with that said, I'm going to throw it back to CJ.
Yeah, I won't be using the Facebook wallet.
No,
I won't be using the Twitter wallet either. It's cool though. It's good to see that coming into the mainstream and something that business actually wants to put forth. But in terms of like practical use for anyone who's like really ingrained in crypto, I think they're probably just going to go with something like Coinbase. But getting into our technicals here, let's have a look at the daily charts. Not a whole lot new to discuss. We're coming down a little bit, testing that support level of the 20 smooth moving average after breaking the ascending or the symmetrical triangle rather to the upside. Still oscillators turning up and looking pretty bullish on the daily chart. I think the thing that is a clue or will give us a little bit more insight into where price could head in the short term is just the 4-hour chart, because our trend really did start turning down towards the top here around 48,300 about a day ago. And ever since, we've had a lot of 4-hour candles just turn red. We've had a bearish crossover in the MACD. We've had a declining CCI even since we even began the medium uptrend. But nonetheless, we are about to hit a TD by 9 off of a pretty strong support level here in the next 2 hours. You can see the timer ticking down there as well. So it'll be interesting to see how price reacts after getting that by 9. Last time we got one over here was pretty close to a selling climax. So it pretty much led to a nice auto rally going up into one of these continued resistance levels. But that's definitely something we're going to be watching for today as well. Now let's talk about Ethereum, because I saw this tweet earlier this morning, but the net amount of Ether leaving exchanges just hit a new record. Over 1.2 billion worth of ETH left centralized exchanges yesterday. And the last time we saw this amount in terms of dollar outflows by Ethereum, that was followed by a 60% increase in 1 month. Obviously, history does not have to repeat itself. Nonetheless, I think that what this says is overall bullish or overall investor intent for Ethereum is very bullish. And I think that this metric really shows that. But before getting into any more on-chain data, I have a couple more items I'd like to share. But, Monty, I'd like to give you a chance to, drop anything or comment.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to toss a question to both you and Doc. One thing that's been kind of interesting that is a little bit different heading into this weekend is the performance of the traditional equity markets. CJ, you've talked a lot about that bounce from that 20 periods smooth moving average and how important that bullish engulfing candle is. We're getting a bit of a different technical formation here. What do you guys think the strength of the equity markets this week? Do you think that'll play into any price action this weekend? Do you think that'll cause people to be reluctant, or do you see it as perhaps the poor performance of the S&P was actually suppressing Bitcoin's price action this week, and over the weekend we might see Bitcoin actually explode to the upside?
Should I go first, or do you want it, CJ?
Yeah, that'd be great, Doc, if you could go first.
I would say, Monty, that we're going to see nervousness dips. In my opinion, right now, a dip of a 1.5% or more would be bought pretty aggressively in stocks, and a 3% dip in Bitcoin and so forth would be bought into the September 22nd Fed meeting. Out of that meeting, I anticipate and I'd handicap it at probably 75%, the Fed will not start the taper in September because the most recent soft data gives them a little more time to see more data. So if I'm right about that, then that extension of cheap money is going to be good for crypto in particular, because they're still continuing to make our paper or fiat currency worth less, not worthless, but worth less by just by not tapering until probably November or December. So you get a couple months worth of very positive, I think, environment for crypto. And on the 25% chance, based on my 75-25 view of what the Fed would do, if they started tapering right away, I think Bitcoin would be hit. And it would probably go down to a moving average that you guys could name better than me. But it would be hit probably 242 if they started tapering in September, because it's unexpected. If they start tapering in November, not tapering, but announcing that they're going to start tapering in November, then I think since that at that point it might be flipped. It might be 75% of us think that that would happen, and only 25 think it wouldn't happen. And thus, it's a surprise if they start tapering in September. And that's why I think Bitcoin would be vulnerable. If instead we don't taper, as I'm predicting we will not begin the taper in September, and it's pushed out till November, I think Bitcoin does well. And I think the FANGs in particular do very well. So I think that people are probably willing to buy on a dip here. I think they'd also be willing to sell on a significant rally into the September 22nd, next Wednesday. But other than that, I think we meander into that Wednesday meeting.
Yeah, I like that. I like that analysis a lot.
Cool. We'll see if it plays out. Like I say, I'm my money's where my mouth is. That's the way I think it's going to play. And boy, yesterday, guys, I know this is not a stock show, but the T-Mobile had some real unusual activity yesterday. And I got to believe that's the iPhone 13 Pro and the Pro Max, and the driving that's going to do for T-Mobile and AT&T and Verizon. And again, biggest stock in the world, Apple. If this is a real successful launch, like it seems like it's going to be, all of us that have iPhones always see our battery life start shortening up into these launches. Kind of funny how that works. I'm sure there's a software engineer at Apple that just kind of sits there twirling a pen in his hand and chuckling as they do these launches. But anyway, I think that, again, those FANG stocks in particular do very well into a delay of the taper.
Yeah, that would definitely lead to some positive price action in Bitcoin. At least I'm of that opinion as well. But yeah, why don't we get into some more data here? And that critical level John was mentioning on the S&P. We're really testing it here with some bearish engulfing candles. Got a nice bounce a couple days ago, but it still looks like we're seeing that hesitancy going into the Fed meeting on the 22nd. But moving into some more on-chain data, we're looking at a liquid supply shock ratio, exchange supply shock ratio, and a lot of just the overall scarcity metrics around Bitcoin. And ultimately these coins moving to hands that are less inclined to sell, or who have been less inclined to sell historically. So despite the fact that we're seeing continuation in these metrics, I think is a very, everything is going according to plan type sign. There's nothing really cause for concern. Same type of deal with perpetual funding rates. We're about 1/3 in terms of value as we were before we had that massive liquidation. As you can see how the funding rates really spiked, and then shortly after we were followed by just a flush out of that leverage and perpetual futures. And then the final chart that I think is kind of interesting is, normally we're always talking about whale holders, wallets who have over 1,000 coins, but this chart is actually highlighting wallets that have over 10 Bitcoins. So this is trying to get a grasp on what retail is doing. A lot of times we'll look at Google Trend data for that, things like the Crypto Fear and Greed Index to give an idea of like where retail is at. But I think this one gives another instance as well. And as Willy Woo likes to say, it's retail who drives the middle of bull markets. And that's really kind of what we've seen in 2017. I don't know if it's fair to go back to compare, 2013 and 2014, because, that's 10 Bitcoins was like $400 at that time. Nonetheless, we still see the same correlation within these like market cycles. So just something interesting I wanted to share, but I'll pass it back to you, Monty.
Yeah, thank you for that, CJ. That is definitely interesting. And I think that looking to a lot of these on-chain metrics are going to be particularly important. One thing that I want to talk about, well, actually, I'll wait till we get to our doges of the day, but Ethereum gas fee is continuing to drop a bit. I think that provides some interesting opportunities in the Ethereum ecosystem, particularly the DeFi ecosystem, CJ, which has been more or less suppressed during the month of August, as most of the speculation has been in either NFTs or in Solana. So with that as a transition into our Doge of the day, I think I will do the privilege of kicking it off. And I want to take a look at an asset that I think is fits that bill perfectly. Despite the fact of strong fundamentals and even strong technicals in terms of volume profile, this asset has just been not performing as well as you'd expect it to. And that is Comp. So Comp is one of the largest DeFi assets by market cap. And CJ, you pointed this out earlier in the week, but I mean, the ETH gas fees since the start of the month of September have been steadily decreasing. And I think that's important to note because the market does really trend together. In the past, we've talked about using moving average strategies. We're just looking for assets that are more significantly diverged from their 200-period moving average, can tell you whether or not they're oversold or overbought relative to the rest of the market. I think that still holds up here because, as you can see, Comp is still well below, or not well below, but below both its 50-period and 200-period simple moving average here, whereas many other assets are well beyond these points, approaching their previous all-time highs. I think the reason that Comp hasn't seen that speculation is because of the amount of minting and also retail speculation and NFTs that drove gas fees up to incredible levels and basically cut out a substantial part of the Comp trading audience, and that is retail traders. So I think now that those gas fees are coming back down to earth, I think that people will look to those DeFi assets. CJ has talked about Uni as well. Another I'd take a look at is Kyber Network, but the one in particular I wanted to look at today is Comp because, one, I'm encouraged by the volume profile managing to hold up even amongst those high gas fees. And two, the fact that now the ETH gas fees are coming down, I think that it is DeFi's time to rally here. So that is my Doge of the day today.
Dr. Hedera?
Well, I'm going to stick with Hedera. I was just on a board call for some guys that have a privately held company that has done a deal with Hedera. That's fully disclosed. I'm not breaking news on that. The company is SkewX, and they are the modern version guys of, and that's the privately held company. That's the modern version of a coupon. So in other words, when you go into a store and you buy something, of course, if you have a coupon, sometimes there's little coupons flashing on the screen and so forth, or on the shelf as you walk by to catch your eye and try to get you to buy that particular cornflakes or whatever it might be and get a 20-cent off coupon or whatever. Those are only marginally effective, but when you combine, the offers that you can get from geo-located services like Facebook that we've already discussed today, with something that could create an instant code depending on the sort of buying pattern that Monty or CJ have shown in the past, that's really powerful. And then some of that could be tied back into a coin. For instance, people could get coins as a reward, Hedera coins and so forth. They could elect to take some of the return on their credit card instead of taking a 1% or whatever back on their credit card as far as a rebate. Maybe you might like that into a coin instead. So there's a lot of exciting things happening in that space. And it's one of the reasons I think that the H bar which is the symbol for the Hedera token, has gone up to a new record high this week. So I'm sticking with it. H bar.
Very nice. Yeah, H bar has been on fire. It's getting both looks from the institutional and retail side. So really interesting to see how that's going to play out here as it continues to make all-time highs. But CJ, what have you got for us today as a Doge of the day, my friend?
I don't have a Doge per se. I want to watch Bitcoin and see what it does off of this TD buy 9 on the 4-hour before making any decisions. But, we have a lot of comments about Solana. We had some last night. So I do want to do some TA on Solana and discuss potential buy levels for that.
Yeah, because that's really coming off a bit. And I know a lot of people were complaining that they, missed the bus the first time around. I think they may have a good chance to re-enter here, but excited to hear what you got to say.
Yeah, so on the daily chart, we're looking for this level to hold after the TD sell 9. We create these setup support and resistance levels, as you can see by these dotted lines. However, that level did not hold, and now it looks like we still are on track to potentially retrace to the overall 20 smooth moving average with Solana. I mean, I just feel the trend has been critically hurt, regardless of the fundamentals around jump trading and all of the talented and overall capital that's gone into the Solana ecosystem. But looking on the 4-hour, we do see a little bit more of a bullish picture in the short term. We've reached that TD buy 9, have overshot it by a couple candles. We have our hammer candle at the bottom of a downtrend that looks like it wants to go back up and touch the 20 smooth moving average at roughly 160. Last time we had one of these very similar TD buy 9s, we rallied to the moving average, but we're not able to get through it. So, I do think there might be an instance where we could get a small reaction rally here to the moving average. Nonetheless, the overall broader trend in Solana is still pretty weak and is still trending down. And if I don't have the oscillators up right now, but if I did have them up, you'd see some pretty distinct bearish crosses on the MACD and the CCI and RSI all turning down and creating negative convergence. So I would just be a little patient on that one, but we'll see what happens in the short term.
Alrighty. Thank you for that, CJ. And thank you guys all so much for watching. Hope you had a great week. And as always, if you want to come hang out with CJ and I in the crypto room, you can try it for just $1 for the first month at marketrebellion.com/try crypto. We'll be in there all weekend sharing our insights. And also, we have a community of traders from all around the world who will also be there sharing their insights. Head over there. It's a lot of fun, especially on the weekends. So definitely check that out. And if you're looking for a place to trade crypto assets, head over to Voyager, where they have 60 plus assets where you can trade at investvoyager.com. They offer up to 10% interest on stablecoins like USDC and up to 12% on assets like DOT. So head over there and check them out. And if you do, use code REBEL25 when you sign up for $25 free in Bitcoin. But that's all we got for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe and have a great weekend. We will see you again on Monday. Take care.
See you then, folks.